Okay, with winning screenwriter Naz Tokgoz. Hopefully, I said your last name. Did I say it
Got
right?
it. You got it.
Okay. Winning LGBTQ plus screenplay. Chrysalis, set in Istanbul, right?
Yes. Yep.
Interesting screenplay. LGBTQ plus for that's set in Istanbul.
Yep. That's why, that's kind of why I did it. It's certainly interesting times in Turkey right now.
Yeah.
Um, and so that ultimately makes the story a little bit more difficult to it was difficult to like write and it was difficult to create there, especially
Do you
for
think you
here.
could ever make a film like that? Like I say,
So
that you.
we did it. We did it. That was we actually shot it already over the summer in Istanbul, and that's why it was so hard to make because simply getting the rights to make that movie, we had to lie about what it was,
Yeah.
what it was for, what the story was. I remember because for getting the location rights, you would have to like we went to the different districts to appeal to get
Yeah.
the rights, and then one time I accidentally because like one of them asked what the movie was about, and I accidentally just slipped it out, and I said it's about these two women who are in love, and immediately like the room shifted, and they were like, thank God she was like a good sport about it, but she said, don't don't tell that to
Never
anyone
say
else.
that, yeah, to anybody.
Exactly, exactly.
So
So
is the film done yet? Are you still in post-production?
we're in post production right now. We're almost getting the picture lock. We're almost there. And then it's just gonna be sound, hopefully. And so we actually set the date for my birthday, April 10, and that's the day when we're hoping it's all gonna be done.
Well, okay, so
So
according to this podcast, that's 50 days away.
yep,
I'm doing the math. Yeah.
exactly.
It's
So,
exactly 50 days away,
50
actually.
days? Okay. I think we can get there.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
I think you can do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Why
But
not? But if you can, don't compromise on the sound design, right?
no, no, exactly. No, that's gonna be big. So we're
Okay,
gonna
so
take
tell me
it.
about so give the audience a pitch of this. You got the film made, but what's the pitch
Yeah.
of the screenplay?
So it's about I used to say it was about these two girls who sort of are trying to explore their relationship in a country like Turkey, but I think it's just more of my love letter, very complicated love letter for my country and my city. Um and what it is to love, period, in a city like Istanbul. Which I think is quite resonant, not just it's not a specific thing to my country.
Yeah.
A lot of other places are going through it. Um, but it's just complicated because I say this a lot, but I Istanbul in general is a very much like it's like Paris in the sense like a city filled with love, right? That's
Yeah.
that's like and so it's very heartbreaking to me and sort of I just don't understand the off balance there of like we can be so loving and then we put walls against what we can or who we can love and that's just been something that's always been there for me as growing up. Um
But it's
so I just wanted to
changing.
put it all on
It's
paper.
changing
Sorry?
ever so slowly. But and it's all about like the
Yeah.
influence, who's in charge, who's
Yeah.
communicating, obviously
Yeah.
entertainment, what's being
Yeah.
and what people are watching, right?
Exactly. There's thank God it's especially like media wise, it's opening up a lot more. Like it's 10 years ago. If I were to have walked into that room and I split that, like
Yeah.
I made it would have been denied right out. Like there would have been no woman who would have accepted that. So even just in that decade, a lot has been changing, but I don't know, we still have a lot to go. There's still a lot to, especially for Turkey. We 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 have to put in more work for sure.
Are you from there originally?
Yeah, I was born and raised there. I came here for school, and it's TBD right now if I'm gonna go back or not. But yeah,
You have a different perspective, like on the Western world, I guess.
I do. It's weird because I also so my parents sort of forced me to grow up with um Western media and everything else because just also learning English is a privilege on its own in Turkey. So they wanted me to make sure that I was there. If I ever had the chance to come to the US, I would be set. But so I think that also influenced a lot is like also finding the courage to decide. I mean, I wrote this script in the US. It was originally supposed to be my thesis project. So I think I would have had a lot more harder time just simply sitting down and writing it if I was in Turkey versus doing it here. But we did ultimately shoot it there, which
Oh,
was
you speak fluent English, so
yeah. I mean, that's the thing that was my parents' fault, or
your
thinking that
parents,
they
your influence, that was good for them. I guess it
yeah
was a
yeah
big
yeah
deal for them, right? That for that
it
you
was. It was for sure. Like they really made sure, like even the Disney Channel, if we couldn't watch it like the dubbed version, we always had to watch it in English,
yeah.
um, which I'm ultimately thanking them for, obviously now. But yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it's funny about that because I remember I was like in like Italy and I was like
yeah,
watching Italian like a movie like Mission Impossible in Italian.
right,
So
right,
I knew what the movie was. I knew what they were saying
right.
in the movie, but I was
It's
picking up
all
the language faster because of that.
yeah, but exactly that's the thing. I think it's just movies help, like watching stuff helps. Um, that's certainly how I did it, but also like just like talking in general. They force me to talk in English a lot of the times. So yeah, it was helpful in the end, definitely.
Do you write the screenplay in English or do you write it in
I
your
did both. It was weird. Mainly I obviously did it in Turkish because it's Turkish dialogue and everything is in Turkish.
yeah.
But I found it a lot easier writing like down the action lines in English and then translating them. Um, Now that's sort of become a thing where like I don't want to lose my like my actual fluent language. Um, like I don't want to lose Turkish, but it's also because I also wrote it here. I think my brain just worked faster writing certain certain lines in English and then translating them to Turkish. But like everything else, obviously like the dialogue, everything that was all in Turkish. But so it was a weird mix.
No, yeah, I'm curious to see the final the film product because
Yeah.
it really is touching on themes that are so kind of important to what's happening in the world today.
Yeah.
About like something that's beautiful as you described, like you're using the city as its own little character, it's its own
Mhm. Mhm.
metaphor,
Mhm.
but there's so much ugliness
Yeah.
inside of that beauty, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and that's again, it's not specific to my country, but it's very much feeling like that's where Istanbul is at currently and has been at, which is such a shame because it is literally one of the most beautiful, beautiful cities you'll ever be able to go to, I think.
Yeah.
It's just, and the people too. Like, we're just so loving, so welcoming, so warm. And then it's just, I mean, I think it's just a lot of tradition and
Yeah.
it's nothing new. I mean, it's the US.
That's
You don't hear.
humanity in a nutshell, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
think about like North America. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
land,
yeah.
it's like you know what I mean? It's like
Exactly,
there's ugliness everywhere, right? So
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, it's nothing. But I just wanted to capture that from the lens of
yeah,
these two girls and trying to exist in that little world. Yeah,
yeah. No, you did a good job. So do you know these characters like when you wrote them like
yes.
these
Um, I mean, again, it was weird a mixture of both my personal life and also like where to draw the because I didn't want it to be too close to home. And I wanted to like sort of separate myself a little bit from that. But I mean, yeah, this is sort of the tale of how it was like growing up. So it's very familiar. These characters are very close to home. Um, and yeah, so it's I know them technically. Yeah.
you know them. And was this
Yeah.
your first directorial kind of film they when
Yes, it was, and thank God because I had a co-director, because I knew it was gonna be a beast on its own to be on a set. So I was very thankful to have a co-director, and she's literally been the guide throughout this entire process. She's the person who I when I was trying to decide if I wanted to make this a movie or not, I would just send it out to directors and say, "Is this? Do you want to work with this?" Um, and the plan was originally to shoot it here, like in the U.S. Um, so I mean, there's no way we could find the budget to go to Turkey with this. So it was just always like small budget thesis movie. I just need help with someone directing it. Um, and then it just very slowly snowballed, and she Arancha, that's the director. Um, she like helped me set up an entire team for it. We got a production company to work for it, and then we had a different production in Turkey, who also wanted to work with it, which was bizarre on its own. And then yeah, and then we did a lot of crowdfunding, and we got there, which was crazy.
Good for you. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's so weird because also we the day that we were gonna, so we kind of found a place that was semi Turkish looking, because I mean the most of the chunk is happening. The story is happening either indoors, and the outdoor port is essentially like a park, right? And so we thought it wouldn't be as complicated to find a park that's somewhat resembling Turkey. And then the final day, we're gonna shoot like a week out. We go to the park to do like final checks, and then we decide like there's no way that this is gonna work. And so we were kind of really bummed out, and we didn't know what else to do. And we all of us, like the entire team, got back in the car, and then our cinematographer, who also helped us find the production house there, he's like, well, we could, like, I think someone made a joke like this would have been so much easier if we just did it in Turkey. And then we all laughed and we paused, and then we kind of looked at each other and was like, well, and then he said, the cinematographer said, I know there's this production house that might be interested in, and we could possibly pull this off. And then 2 months later, we were in Turkey.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Is this something that you like are aspiring to do as a career?
yeah. I mean that would be. I think I love writing, and sort of. I mean, this is the first short screenplay ever that I've done, and so the entire process was very, very enjoyable. And it's sort of throughout that I was like, oh, this is. I think I want to do this for sure. But I mean, I went to school for theater and film, so I knew that's what I was wanting to do. But it was my first shot at film specifically.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and so definitely after that experience and being on set, it was a dream. So
Your
it
parents
happened.
are proud of you?
I hope they are. I hope they are.
Yeah.
They say they are, but yeah. I mean, I'm still very hesitant to show them the cuts of the film. I really want them to just see the final product.
Sure, yeah. That's
Yeah,
I always give that suggestion. Don't show somebody who's not in the industry a rough cut of something.
exactly. Yeah. No, not a good idea. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely, I'm like, that's why I really want to do it as soon as possible, with so I can show them like this is why I was there for a month. And but yeah, my mom loved the last day she came on set, and she loved it. It was super nice. Um, yeah. So hope they are.
That's great. And so like I said, at its heart, it's a love story, but
Yeah.
it's the subtext and themes of kind of like I described it, like the ugliness inside of the
Yeah.
beauty, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And you said it. I didn't really think about it, but yeah. I mean, that's very much where the world's at most of the time. So
yeah, well, yeah, especially there, right? So
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
just hope that that things will change, but I think it
Slowly.
does. But then there's like it's like crisscross, right? Things get worse,
Exactly.
and they get like better, and then
Exactly. And
it's not a straight line, right? So
exactly. And so often I think it's you don't really notice it when it's because it's so slow, and it is that zigzag
yeah,
process. Again, like it's crazy thing. Again, 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation. Um, but yeah, so it just happens very, and 10 years is not a long, like when you think
yeah,
about it, it's a big change.
But that's the resistance, though, right? Because when
Yeah,
we see it, you live in the States now. It's we see
yeah,
it for like when there's
exactly.
so much
Yeah,
growth improvement.
yeah,
Other side that basically that like will get stronger
yeah.
to resist that, right? So
Hmm.
yeah.
It's why it's interesting is like I always say like I don't know if I'm gonna go back to Turkey, um, but I also yeah because you don't I don't want to it's where I was raised and born and I love my country even though it gets very up and down. But it just leaving almost feels like sometimes it's a sense of giving up, and I don't want that. And so it's about like where do you resist, where do you sort of go back and try to help things out, and in any way you can. Um, but yeah, so it's really complicated process.
So before we leave you, I want to ask you, we asked you the question, what movie have you watched the most times in your life?
Oh,
You said La La Land.
I did say that, and I regret saying that, sort
Why?
of.
Why do you
Just because
regret?
La La Land is La La Land, it's I love that movie just because I think it's so why I particularly love it because of the first time I saw it, I was with my mom in this tiny, tiny theater, and
Mhm.
just so having that memory attached to it, I think what makes me go back to it so many times,
Sure.
it's just a sense of home and like
That's a,
my
well,
mom,
that's a great answer because it's like
yeah,
you're emotionally connected to films like
yeah, yeah,
that
exactly.
it's about your mom, it's about
Exactly.
your relationship with your
Exactly.
mom, then you every time you watch the film, it's reminded of your mom, right? So
Yeah. And that's why I made a movie about my home to
yeah.
feel.
So why would I wouldn't regret. Why do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
regret?
No, I take that back. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna stick with that answer.
Yeah. No, just
Yeah.
because you said like it has a magical atmosphere. And
Yeah,
are you
it
like
does. It does. And
Los
I
Angeles?
love like it pulls in my heartstrings a little bit and I love that.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
living in Los Angeles or?
No, I'm in New York. I'm in New
Oh,
York.
so you're in the opposite. Okay.
I'm in
Yeah.
the opposite. Yep. Very away from La La Land, but maybe one day. Who knows?
But it's funny because I saw it at the theater. Was it
Hmm.
6, 7 years, a long time ago,
Yeah.
6, 7 years
Yeah.
ago? And
Yeah.
I just watched it for the first time, I think last week or a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. Since. And yeah, it's a good film.
You
Yeah.
like it? It's an okay film. I
No,
mean,
I
yeah, it
like yeah.
depends on. Yeah, it again. I think it's just the familiarity that is drawing me in. But it's been a while since I've had my last rewatch, so
Yeah.
I might get back
No, I
on
was
that.
talking to somebody about the filmmaker
Hmm.
because he's doing well for himself and like he
Yeah,
did Whiplash
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's great.
and
Damien
it's
Chazelle.
all his films are about obsession.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. It's true. Yeah, and when because he also the last movie he made, Babylon. That's also like
Babylon, yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
super, it's film and his obsession, and it. I mean, that movie alone it felt like three different movies.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
but
about and then he did the astronaut movie, the
yes, 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 exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
I
like
love it
it's
too.
all about like the same themes. It's all
Yeah,
about like
yeah.
they
He
can't
does a
have
good.
relationships. They have to it's
Yeah,
all about their craft, right?
yes, that's true. That's true. And he does a good job of it.
Yeah, because it's like the two characters in La La Land, it's like
Yeah, I mean,
it's
they
not a
have their
love
own
story,
thing.
right? It's
Exactly.
a I
No,
love my job story.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, and I mean that's why it's heartbreaking because it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Because
yeah,
they're both obsessed with their with what they want to do for their
yeah.
life. So
It's true. It's not a romantic movie when you think
no,
about it. It's very much a very sad reality, and it's very honest, and I really appreciated that.
because they you can also up second viewing like they kind of not I would say use is a strong word, but
Yeah,
they serve each other to
yeah,
become better
yeah.
artists, I guess,
It's
right?
true.
So
It's definitely true. Yeah, but I mean, again, but then there's that whole little montage at the end that shows the other side of what if this was the reality, and I think that makes it even sadder, and a lot of more tragic because it shows you the reality and then it shows you, oh, this is what it could have been if it was a romantic movie. This is what you wanted,
yeah.
but this is the reality, which I really like. Yeah.
But yeah, but the ending is like they're in different they're in
Yeah,
different worlds, right?
exactly. And then yeah, it snaps you back.
And they have no desire to have a relationship with each other.
No, no. It's I mean it's like at the end of it's to in order for them to both do what they love. It's just sort of their little love has to end.
Yeah.
Which is,
So he's on to something.
yeah.
Maybe you are too. So
We'll see. See. I'll make my New York La La Land one
yeah,
day.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make another. I'm assuming you're gonna make another film.
Once I'm done with this, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like putting all my energy into this. Um, so I really want to just get this right and then I can think about. But I
Well,
do want to, obviously, but
one
it's
film at a time, right?
one film at a time, exactly.
Well, on that note, let's talk again. Either when we talk about another screenplay of yours, or we talk about this film. I'd love to see it.
I mean, I hope so one day.
All right.
Soon, hopefully. Thank
Talk
you.
soon.
All right, of course. Have a good